ziua and welcome back to I Learn Romanian. I am Sephora, a Romanian teacher and the founder of ilearnromanian.com, and today I'm going to teach you how to use the plural in Romanian. I strongly suggest you go and take a look at my videos about gender identification so that you know what gender you're looking for when you see a noun. Now, if you do that, you can come back and continue watching the rest of this video. We are going to start with the easiest, which is masculine. For masculine, you don't have to remember a lot, you just have to know that your words always end in an I. So add an I at the end of a masculine word and you create the plural form. If you see a word not ending in I, you can know straight away that that is never going to be masculine. Also, the I that you add at the end is going to be quite soft, so it's not going to be very accentuated when you read it. For example, we have the word copil, we add an I and it's copi. We have the word tată, we add an I and it's tați. We have the word urs, we add an I and it's urși. We have the word student, we add an I and it's studenți. We have the word polițist, we add an I and it's going to be polițiști. And now you might wonder why it also sounds a little bit different, because it didn't sound like I only added an I. That is because if your masculine word ends in an S, T or ST, those letters are also going to change slightly. You need to turn the S into a sh, the T into a ts, and if you have the combination ST, that's going to be a sht. So that's why we say studenți, urși, polițiști. Now let's take a look at neuter. That one is going to be a little bit more complex, but the two main possibilities you have for neuter would be e or uri. If you're using these ones, you do not have very clear rules for when to use one over the other, but I can give you a few tips and stuff I've noticed while teaching Romanian for so long. If you have a word that is foreign, it automatically becomes neuter in Romanian, and when it does that, it takes uri as the plural. So that's why we say weekenduri, laptopuri, linkuri, website-uri, share-uri, and it keeps going. If your word ends in a T or R, it is more likely to take an E. It doesn't mean that it's always the case, but there's a high chance that it's going to take an E. So that's why we say apartamente, restaurante, pahare, pennare, and it keeps going. If your word already ends in a U, it is more likely to take uri. For example, we say birouri or tablouri. These rules are not set in stone because, unfortunately, neuter in Romanian is not very clear. Sometimes even native speakers make mistakes, so you will have to get used to either guessing or practice hearing the language and forming combinations a lot. What I can tell you is that after a while, you're going to get used to what Romanian sounds like, and you will be able to choose the right form. I do suggest that sometimes, if you're not very sure, you should say aloud both versions. So if you have a word and you don't know if it ends in e or uri, try to say both words with the specific ending and see which one sounds better or more Romanian. That is not going to be very easy in the beginning, but I can guarantee that over time, it is going to help you tremendously and is going to make a lot of sense. I suggest listening to as much Romanian as you can, especially if you live abroad. And I also do have a little bit of help for you. If you check out my YouTube account or my Spotify with the name I Learn Romanian, you will be able to find plenty of content and also a podcast that I started recently where I speak Romanian at 3 different levels: beginner, intermediate, and advanced. And you will be able to play that in the background when you're traveling, when you're commuting, when you're going for a walk, when you're working out, whenever you want. but this will give you the chance to hear some Romanian, and this will help you in the future form the right plural for words, even if you're not 100% sure. That being said, let's also take a look at the feminine. The feminine is the most complex one, which is both good and bad. It is good because it is quite clear when to use one form over the other, but it is bad because you have multiple combinations. So feminine words in Romanian can end in e, I, which would be a double I, le, and ele. So in order to do that, we need to take a look at either the category of words or the ending. If your word is a feminine human being, either professions, nationalities, family members, stuff like that, it is always going to end in an e. So we say studente, eleve, prietene, românce, and it keeps going. If your word is related to an animal, it could be either e or I. I noticed that usually animals that live around our houses, so domestic animals and pets, are more likely to end in an I, while wild animals are going to end in an e. For example, we have pisici, oi, vaci that end in an I, while wild animals are going to end in an e, like ursoaice, leoaice, tigroaice, maimuțe. If we look at objects, unfortunately, there's no way to predict it. So your words might end either in an I, like mașini, yeah, cărți, or they might end in an e, like mese, case. So for that one, again, listen to the podcast, listen to your Romanian friends, your partner, and see how much you can get over time. The next possibility is for the words ending in IE. If your word ends in an IE after a vowel, like in femeie, we are going to turn it into one I. So the plural is going to be femei. If your word ends in an IE after a consonant, it's going to turn into double I. Like farfurie, farfurii. If your word ends in ea, like the personal pronoun, ea, we are going to turn it into ele for plural. For example, we have stea, stele. If your word ends in an a, we are going to add le, like pijama, pijamale. So overall, to cover the feminine, we end words in e, I, ele, and le. And now, there are also going to be certain words in all genders that do not change for plural. For masculine, those words would be everything that ends in I already in the singular form. So a word such as ochi, which is I, is gonna stay the same. We say un ochi, doi ochi. Or unchi, un unchi, doi unchi. For neuter, all words that already end in e are gonna look the same, like nume, un nume, două nume. And for feminine, if your feminine word already ends in an I, it's going to stay the same, like o tanti, două tanti. I hope this helped. You will need a lot of practice, but that is not impossible to achieve. If you have any questions, I invite you to leave them in the comments. I accept any suggestion about future videos about grammar that you might want me to cover. And of course, you're invited to follow me on social media for free resources and book a free trial lesson on my website. You can join either one-on-one lessons where I teach you Romanian personally and I explain it to you however you need it to understand, making lots of connections, practicing, having exercises, worksheets. Or you can join the small group lessons for more advanced learners who want to practice their speaking. In the group lessons, we cover a text, we answer questions about it, and generally we have a discussion because it is mostly conversation based. I wish you an amazing week. Until next time, la revedere!